just continuing on with the racial part that concerns the end times. And we've had dealing with the likes of Richard Kuldenhove-Kalergi and his plan for an elite aristocratic white race which would consist of Asians such as Chinese and Japanese, who are in a lot of cases very white, and we've got the likes of the Ashkenazi Jews and the European aristocrats. So let's look at the current stage at the moment. In the United States recently there was a shooting in a black church by a white guy, allegedly. 9 people shot. And then you have the likes of Jon Stewart, who wanted to get on TV during his show and go on about white privilege and things of a similar nature. And most people seem to go along with it because, he's on TV, he must be good. But Jon Stewart is actually a Jew, even though he may look similar to you or I. He considers himself a celebrity, a cashed up one, and a Jew. So he considers himself a cut above working class stiffs like you. And we see this continually. Ashkenazi Judaism does have a serious problem. Most Ashkenazi Jews, certainly in Western countries, in Western white countries, are atheist. And it is basically the same sort of atheism that brought about the Bolshevik Revolution. Most of the people who ran the Bolshevik Revolution were actually atheist Jews. And indeed, you've got some Jews who say there's basically no difference between Marxism, again founded by an atheist Jew, and what passes as Judaism these days. So we've got the likes of Noel Ignatieff, who started up a website called Race Traitor. I believe it's racetraitor.org. And he is a Jew, and he seeks to abolish the white race. You also have the International Socialist Organization, although they don't say directly, one of their main platforms, which they run in the background to other projects and platforms, is that the white race has to be abolished. And we see this reflected in the bureaucrats, the technocrats that get into Western governments in white countries, or what were white countries. And we see this, in the United States, where the black on white crime rates are astronomical. If you look at, say for example, the occurrences of black men raping white women, it's huge. And the white men raping black women is probably maybe up to 10% of what happens to white women by black men. And yet nothing is mentioned of this. You could say that blacks in America are launching a guerrilla war, something like you saw in Northern Ireland with the IRA, but even the IRA didn't do such things. And we've got other examples we see in the United Kingdom. Sue Barrowitz, who chose to ignore, she was actually in charge of a department relating to children's affairs in the United Kingdom, And in northern England there were Pakistani gangs raping white girls, specifically targeting white girls. No doubt you would say that's racist. But Sue Berelowitz chose to ignore it, said no, it just ignored the problem altogether. And yes, she is a Jew as well. So you have Jews complaining and whinging about anti-Semitism, yet they fall into the very stereotypes that anti-Semites will portray them as. There's a difference between anti-Semite as one word and anti-Semite as anti-Semite. Anti-Semite means to hate Assyrians, Maltese, Hashemite Jordanians and Arabs in general, whereas anti-Semitism, one word, means Jew hatred. And it's only a term that popped up about, 130 years ago, which is roughly about the time that the likes of the Kordenhof Kalergis came about with their caste system, or the foundations of it. You'll find there are many other people who push the same idea. Maybe some of the flavours involved are a bit different, but the recipe is still the same. And if you look at World War One, you had European countries primarily fighting each other, and initially, up to that time, people preferred to have soldiers from the country that was fighting another country. So the English army was full of Englishmen, Anglo-Saxons, the French army full of Frenchmen, and so on. But as these countries had colonized a good portion of the world, they were more willing, probably due to geographical parts or forts and areas of conflict, to use locals. And it was seen in World War II where anyone and everyone was just grabbed in to fight for whatever country. And what you should know about World War I is that a lot of the people who were running the various brigades, armies and so on were actually aristocrats. And sometimes they were obliged to fight on the front line. But when they saw how mechanicalized warfare had become, and there was a good chance they were going to get killed, that's when they started bringing in people from colonies and other countries and so on. These people just care about themselves, that and nothing else, because they believe they are of a certain caste. And if you'd say, look, if the upper caste wants no competition, so they want no whites to be around, why don't they just go and kill the white people who are socially, economically, politically and bloodline below them? Simple reason is they can't. They can't. Who's going to join an army which insists on killing you? That makes no sense. So now we're seeing, as they use immigration to bring in the troops to do the job, and that's why they just ignore all racial problems. They say if they can eradicate, let's say, middle class whites and downwards, that's what they want. So only the very upper middle class and the rich upper classes will be the only whites around. And then once they have control of the gene pool, then they can peddle themselves as gods. That's what they want to do, and everyone else is just subhuman. These people make Hitler look like, a soft cock. They really did. And you have the likes of eugenics, and people say, oh, Hitler killed off the retarded people in the Third Reich. He did for a while, but he stopped. But he actually took that idea from the same Marxist socialists who were peddling it in the 1900s, in the early 1900s. So he only stole a few ideas from him. And yet, when he turned on the Soviet Union, even though it was quite Marxist, quite atheist, and probably quite expansionist, that just hadn't geared up yet, all the rest of the world sided with the Soviet Union, even though in theory the Soviet Union would seek to destroy these people too. It was sided after World War II. They sought to destroy the West. And some people see conflict between communities, between nations, between ideologies as a source of division. But these people see conflicts between communities as a source of integration, because you would have a pecking order established at the end of it all. And this is what these people are trying to do. And this is the origin of the race card as we see applied politically today.